Welcome to Lilac Dance,
a podcast by two disabled artists about creative expression and processing emotions.
My name is Elena Chambers. I am a writer and a musician.
And my name is Heather Banet. I am a dance teacher, choreographer, and mixed media artist. So we live in Michigan.
We do.
And it is like 5 degrees Fahrenheit outside right now.
We were not expecting that.
No.
Yeah.
Elena had to jump her car on the way over here.
I had to jump my car on the way over. It was quite an experience. Thank goodness for my wonderful neighbors whose names I don't know. They helped me out.
We all need neighbors who maybe we don't know their names of, but we need them.
People in my apartment complex are very private, so that's why we don't know each other's names.
Oh my goodness. So today we're getting into health updates about my disability and my recent surgery, as well as Elena's review of the first semester of social work school.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's our last topic again?
Poetry.
Poetry.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. So you just recently got a pretty major surgery, right?
I did. It's actually like a huge blessing that I'm even sitting upright right now because the recovery time is 4 to 8 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And we're at 4.5 weeks right now. So in a lot of ways, I've made a lot of progress, but in a lot of ways, there's still a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So just for the listeners to kind of understand what this surgery was and why I had to have it, I've had chronic pain since I was 11 years old, mainly in my upper body from a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was 20 years old, I had a dance accident that resulted in an injury. And then when I was 25 years old, which was this year, I found out I have a genetic condition that made it so that I would have all these problems become chronic issues, which they did. The car accident became a chronic issue. The lower body injury from dancing became a chronic issue. And I never understood that, oh my gosh, I have a transverse process in my spine that is too long. It's called Bertolotti syndrome. It is a relatively common syndrome, but a lot of people don't know about it because of the lack of education about it. Radiologists don't know what to look for on x-rays. Basically, doctors, even physical therapists aren't taught about it in medical school. So anyway, it's been a long journey to come to September of 2023, several months ago, and be told this is your syndrome. We recommend this surgery. So the surgery recommended was sacroiliac joint fusion, and I just had a bilateral sacroiliac joint fusion. Okay. Now, that's all the background. The question is, how am I feeling? Like, am I better? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And the first thing I will say is that in all the research I've done, it does seem like sacroiliac joint fusion is the most common kind of first line of defense surgically. But there are other things they can do surgically. They can trim the transverse process that's too long, causing all these pelvic problems. And they can do a fusion in the spine where they, instead of fusing sacroiliac, which they already did, they would fuse the L5 transverse process I have that's too long to my spine to like prevent movement there. Anyway, we don't know what the next steps are, but I do know that I'm still feeling pain. So it is unfortunate. There isn't much else to say other than I kind of feel like the way I did before surgery, and some days it's worse because I'm dealing with the fact that they had to do incisions into my butt to access the sacroiliac joints, and that, has been its own challenge. So I did receive my care, at the Mayo Clinic, and I'm glad I received care at the Mayo Clinic. At the same time, they didn't really tell me there were like the option of resectioning or trimming that bone. And I recently found that out on the internet on a Bertolotti Facebook group. So it's kind of just like,
yeah, like why didn't they tell you that?
Yeah, come on, people. Yeah. We want doctors to do better, and I know they're trying so hard, especially at Mayo Clinic. Like they at least they knew about the syndrome. But if I had known about the resection, apparently there's clinics out there that will do the sacroiliac fusion with the resection in the same surgery, but that wasn't an option Mayo gave me. So and Mayo doesn't even do the resection, which is why they didn't give me that option, but still, I didn't even know it existed, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
it's really frustrating to, have no later find out that there might be something out there that could help you, um, but not be told that when you go to see a doctor, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard. So I've been doing a lot of art to get through this time,
Mhm.
and I'm going back to work remotely. Tomorrow I have
Oh,
a job
wow.
in human resources working for a private school. So that's gonna be like 15 hours a week for a
Mhm.
while, and I'll be lying down while I do it, and I might sit occasionally. Right now, I'm probably seated for like 2 to 3 hours a day.
Mhm.
Before surgery, it was probably more like 6 hours a day,
Mm.
like upright, standing, and sitting. So, like, I hope I can get back to 6 hours a day, and I hope I can go beyond, and I hope that maybe in time my muscles will relax. I'm not giving up hope. I'm just looking ahead because the fact that
Yeah.
I still feel pain in the doctor said I should notice a difference within 1 week, and I haven't, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I'm sure it's frustrating to realize, like, that it didn't necessarily work out the way that you were hoping or that you were told it might work out. But how are you feeling about going back to work?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think I'm just really glad, like, as a disabled person to like hold a job and like
Mm,
be able to have a job that's like 15 hours and can accommodate my health.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, so many disabled people aren't able to work because of their health condition
Mm,
and just because of the way the workplace is very like intense
yeah.
and not accommodating, which honestly is comparable in many ways probably to like going to school, which makes
I
me
think
think
it
of
is.
your experience right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in workplaces though, there's this whole kind of, I think in workplaces there's this idea of like what an accommodation is and what a reasonable accommodation is, and there's things that they're willing to do and things that they're not willing to do. And I think, we still have a long way to come with regard to like that and the all the problems of capitalism.
Yeah, I think so. Like
Mhm.
they want efficiency in the workplace, but a lot of people like need to go slow and need to just honor their
Yeah.
bodies and maybe not have a time they start in the day, but maybe they can say, okay, I will get 4 hours of work done today and I will do it throughout the day and I'll start when I can because I might wake up in pain and stiff and with all my symptoms flared,
Yeah.
etc. So, you know, I do think I'm grateful for what I have,
Mhm.
but working in general as a disabled person is hard.
Yeah, totally.
So, I can't go work in the office until a few weeks from now. So we'll see.
Well, I hope that when that does happen, that everything goes well and that they're able to, give you the accommodations that you need.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. So you just had a break from social work school.
I did, yeah.
And so did you have time to reflect on what your first semester in the U of M School of Social Work was like?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, I think it was really good. I met a lot of really great people and I'm really thankful for that. And that my classes have been super interesting. Lots of cool stuff there. So I think overall it's been good. It's been a little bit of an adjustment being back in school, I would say. But, for the most part, I think things went pretty well.
That's awesome. And what kinds of classes did you take in your first semester?
So I took a class relating directly to interpersonal practice, which is kind of the pathway that I'm on. So learning to do different kinds of like therapy modalities and stuff like that. And then I took a policy class about sort of like social work and
Mm.
politics and social work and policy. And then I took a research class and oh, I think there was one more. Oh, yeah, like, I took a social justice and social work class, and then one about, like, working with organizations and community organizing and stuff, so
That's
it
awesome.
was a really good semester.
What what's like a few like maybe like little facts or tidbits that you kind of took away that maybe you didn't know before you started the program or maybe that you did you had an inclination about, but then your classes kind of confirmed it for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that I was aware of, but maybe just didn't necessarily, I guess the classes that I think I was aware of, but the classes really sort of drove it home for me, I think, is just that everything that social workers do has a larger implication and is related to, it is part of a whole system of existence and functioning in
Mm,
society. And so it's
mhm,
hard to separate like the interpersonal work from the community-based work.
mhm.
And so it's all kind of ties together. And I think that's one thing that has been really important because I think going into it, I'd had this idea that like I needed to choose whether I wanted to work with individuals or if I wanted
Mm,
to work with communities. But really, it all goes together. And I think that's been really important to realize.
wow. That is really quite profound that no matter if you do clinical social work and you're
Hmm.
working one-on-one, or you do go work for an advocacy organization, both are helping both individuals and community. It's not separate.
Yes,
And
exactly.
there's probably some sort of like hybrid type of work schedule you could create. I don't really know, but where you
I think
can
so.
do some individual work, some community work, and like kind of get best of both worlds as well.
Yeah, and that's really my hope, I think, because and it's been really inspiring. I've met a lot of professors and people who are, in the social work field now who have just done so many different things throughout their careers. And that's been really cool to see because it just showed there are so many possibilities for social workers. And there are things that social workers do that I didn't even know social workers did. So I think it's been really exciting just to see all the possibilities that are out there for social workers right now.
Wow, that's really cool. And it's really awesome that like you are kind of in this next generation of social workers.
It is, yeah. And I have to say, I think that it's been really nice meeting other people who are interested in social work. And just, I feel like this generation of social workers, from what I've seen, a lot of people are really informed about like social justice issues and things like that that are really important to consider
Mm,
in the social work practice. And so I think that's really encouraging to see that people care about what's going on in the world and sort of the larger implications of social work practice, even if they are more focused interpersonally.
that's amazing. That's really
Yeah.
amazing. Now, in your time in social work school so far, like have you been engaging in any art practices that go along with your classes?
Yeah, so I might have mentioned this on an earlier episode, but in one of my classes, um, we were allowed to do anything we wanted for the projects. So for one of them, I actually did a painting, and that was really, really fun. So it was about sort of social work and identity and how like social positionality relates to social work and stuff. So it was really exciting. I loved doing it and it was really cool to be able to do that for a class because, didn't do a lot of paintings in music and anthropology when I was an undergrad.
That's lovely. That's amazing. Um, and do you think like maybe in the future, like you want to involve like art practices in the work you do in your profession?
Um, as weird as this might sound, what I have found is that I enjoy making art a lot more when it's not my career.
Right on.
That's what I discovered with music, quite
That's
honestly.
cool though that you know that about
And so
yourself.
yeah, I think like the stuff I do with like writing, I could see myself incorporating into a career, but
Right,
the
right.
art stuff, it's just too special to me to like be paid to
Oh,
do it and ruin the experience somehow. I don't
no.
know, like
I feel that about painting. Like I might give paintings like as a gift,
yeah,
like
exactly.
to my family or my close friends.
Mhm.
But I'm not trying to like sell paintings. Like
Exactly.
that's just not, and not only am I not like a professional painter, but I just can't. But I really too like for me, like
Yeah.
dance is something that works in a professional realm, and for you, maybe writing.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
also okay to have these other arts that you're not monetizing.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah. And speaking of doing art for fun, that kind of brings us to like what we're working on today, talking about today, which is poetry, and it's very specifically poetry as a means for healing.
Yeah. I love reading poetry, and I know that you've done
Mhm.
poetry too.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I remember reciting poems in like ninth grade English
Mhm.
class, and I didn't love that. But I was never told, like, get in your feelings. And
It's a little hard to tell ninth graders to get
yeah,
in their
no,
feelings,
they
in all
don't want,
honesty.
they nobody wants the ninth graders in their feelings in the class setting. So I get it. But later on, just kind of like journaling and then realizing, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, that rhymes. Oh, what if I continue that rhyme? Oh, whoa, I'm talking about
Yeah.
something relevant to my life and maybe to the lives of others.
Yeah.
It's
That's
really
really
cool
cool.
feeling.
That's awesome. So you kind of like realized you were writing poetry, even though you didn't set out necessarily to be like, oh, I'm gonna write poetry.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Um, so I think I started writing poetry just casually, and I really only do it like every few months here and there. Sometimes I
Uh-huh.
take 6 months off. Like, who cares? Like, I just do it whenever I feel like it. But lately, I'd say it's been like every few months, and I think I started it when I was 18 or 19, and now I'm 25. So I have like 10 poems from like over the years.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think that's very similar to what I do too. I'm by no means like a professional like poet or anything. I'm also feel like I'm a lot better with like the kind of like more like free form.
Mhm, me too.
Like, yep, yep. Like if it has to have like a specific rhythm or like rhyme, like that's too hard for some reason. I don't know why. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. It's nice to have something to just do on your own terms when you want for fun and that helps you express yourself creatively.
Yeah, I really like having
Mhm.
art that is just art for the sake of art.
Yes, art for the sake of art. We love
Yes.
it.
So today I want to read two poems that I've kind of worked on within the last 6 months. The first poem kind of describes like this place that I reached and kind of took me a few years to reach that place, like
Mhm.
mentally, emotionally, and physically. And this was like a few weeks before I went to Mayo Clinic and found out that I had Bertolatti syndrome.
Mm,
So at this
mhm.
point, I just thought, I have horrible chronic pain from being injured multiple times in my life. And I have to make the most of my life regardless. So that's kind of the headspace I was in writing this poem. Um, and this poem has, you'll feel the vibe, but
Mhm.
it's a more positive poem.
Nice.
All
I'm
right.
excited to hear it.
Thank you. So it's called My Own Main Character.
Mhm.
It is time for a new self-expression. Some say that I'm on a mission. You know that I've got a vision, sitting on the edge of a decision. I ponder principles and morals, intrinsic, social, and personal. It's instrumental, a fundamental change as if it were surgical. It's purposeful and clear as a crystal. Dancing with disability, the chronically ill, living in creativity, engaging with every ability, you and me, a piece of divinity, walking on in with a hand flick, gratitude to those that we miss. Stop me before I start to reminisce about pain-free days of harmony and bliss. I'm still the happiest I've ever been in my adult life, age 25 for a min. I often wonder about what's within the blur between end and begin. We've all been doing too much, trying so hard to win. Maybe we need to all sleep and play like my nephew Finn. I'm talking about rest, reflect, rejuvenate, taking task by task off of your plate, existing in silence, paying attention to the innate, dance, music, poetry every day.
Wow, that was great.
Thank you. Um,
Yeah, really, really good poem. I love the rhythm of it and just, how you describe your own experience is really powerful. And yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with all of us.
Thank you so much. So I think it's interesting to place that poem in context of my health journey
Mhm.
because the next poem I'm going to read is like a poem from after I went to Mayo Clinic
Mhm.
and kind of the frustration that I hadn't been diagnosed in so long, and um
Mm.
but also a lot of hope still. So yeah, I believe this next poem is untitled. Um which I'm totally fine with.
Mhm.
And here we go.
All right.
Accidents on injuries of significance damnatory, all a part of ongoing, believed inner stories, constantly thought I'd recover, arrive at some glory. One day, Doc said I was born with it, genetic category, years and years wondering if my pain was transitory, yet stuck I remained as if something was mandatory, only to find out it could be changed in a laboratory. To the providers who failed me, I feel a little accusatory. Alas, surgery is coming of the nature bone setter. God damn, I'm counting on this to make me feel better. Slowest one walking made me a pace setter, reframing self-hatred with an intrinsic love letter. Somewhere between the couch and being a go-getter, toss and turn about these feelings. I'm a cold night sweater, develop into a butterfly is what she do when she let her pray to insurance that I don't become a debtor, overcoming pain with a twinkle in my eye. Nothing says confidence like a person who knows they can cry. Deep down, all it is authentic gesture I'd imply, subconscious desire speaking up, don't defy, just release and increase the waters of the heart. Like the waves flow, her depression is an art. Take a breath, give some time before the next part. Slow living till surgery and a true chance to restart.
Nice. Wow. That one was really good too.
Thank you. And I think it's really good to name that, like, I had this period of time before surgery where I was just like, this period of time before surgery where I was extremely hopeful, like let's go, I'm ready. Take me to the operating room. And
Mm-hmm.
now we're like several weeks past, and I'm like, I not that I think it was the wrong decision, because in order for it to be the wrong decision, I would have had to have other options. No other options. So
Right. It's kind of your only choice.
and from my research, a lot of surgeons recommend this specific surgery as the first line of defense. So I'm not regretful, but I will never get back that time in my life
Mm.
where I could wonder if surgery was going to be
Right.
like the magic fix, you know?
Yeah.
But I still wonder because there's more surgeries to be had.
Right. Well, and that's amazing that like, you're recognizing like, yes, like this time maybe doesn't have the same kind of hopeful quality
Yes.
as it did before the surgery, but also, that there are other things that might be out there that could help, and you're kind of trying to maintain that hope. And that's really
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so even just reading poetry is like incredibly therapeutic. Thank you for listening to everyone who's listening. Um, I know maybe in the future you might share some of your poems.
Yes, my poems are a little depressing, and I'm not great at reading them, so we'll see. We'll see how it
We
goes.
could also, post your poem as like a document, a PDF
Oh, that might be
for
better. That
listeners,
might be
and we could
better.
just inform you all that Elena's got a poem out. We'll do that.
Oh, we should do that because I am not good at reading stuff anyway. Like when I start to read off a paper, I'm like, oh no, what do these words say? It's like I forget how to read when I have to do it out loud
And
somehow.
that's no, but that's representation for all kinds of poets.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
that's beautiful. Um, my final thought about poetry is that we can use poetry to like look at current events, and we
Mm-mm.
can look at what's happening in the world. And we know that there are a lot of oppressive governments out there
Mm-hmm.
murdering innocent people. And we're specifically thinking in this situation about the conflict or the genocide
Mm-hmm.
in Palestine. And we're thinking about martyrs who were poets that
Mm-hmm.
have died for the liberation of Palestine. And I do want to um bring in the voice of a Palestinian poet
Mm-hmm.
today. So this poem is called If I Must Die, and it is by Rifat Al-Adir. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail, so that a child, somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope, let it be a tale.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think
Wow.
we'll just leave everyone with that. And
Yeah.
it's okay to basically bring in all the emotions that poetry give us
Mhm.
in the same time span.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for reading that, and thank you so much everyone for tuning in today.
Thanks everyone for listening. Stay tuned for more conversations about processing emotions and creativity.